Hi there, everyone. Welcome to another Make It With Me Monday. I'm back live tonight. Last week I was doing a senior photo shoot with my youngest. It's hard to believe that that is where we are right now with that. It's crazy. Because in my head he's still, I don't know, maybe like 8. Definitely not almost 17 and being a senior in high school. But I'm sure many of you can relate. Oh, there's a little more light. Let's see if that helps. Bringing that down a little bit. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And whenever you're here, just jump in, say hi, all that good stuff. If you're watching later, thanks for tuning in. I very much appreciate that. All right, so tonight we are going to do a pretty simple layout with a lot of opportunity for stepping up or embellishing, or however you want to phrase that, okay? So we are going to start out with a piece of cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5. I have Wild Wheat. It's one of the in colors in the ones that will be headed out at the end of this catalog season. Then you want a neutral circle that's about 2.5 inches in diameter. Again, hi Karen, I'm so glad you caught me live tonight. So again, if you have something that's close, 2.5 is just kind of an approximation of a size. If you have something that works a little better, that's a little smaller, a little larger, whatever, that's totally up to you. Then you needed 4 rectangles that were 2 by 2.5. And I said you can pick cardstock, you could pick DSP, you could pick a combination. If you're doing a combination, I would recommend that you do 2 sets of 2. So for on camera tonight, I have 2 pieces of DSP from Wildly Flowering. And then I have 2 pieces of cardstock that are Early Espresso. And I'm just pulling these colors directly out of my DSP that comes with the Wildflower Designs, the Wildly Flowering collection. So Wildflower Designs is the stamp set. Let me find this here. We're on page 41 of our catalog. So Wildflower Designs is the stamp set and the die set. There's a embossing folder in this suite that I've used on a couple samples. Just got that one in myself. So it's kind of got a rectangles that are dotted, so that go all the way across. So they call it Dashing Designs is what they've named it. And I'm actually, this normally isn't my color palette, but I love this pack of DSP with the boho and the wheat, and then it's got why am I drawing mauve? There we go, the Moody Mauve that are all part of that particular one. But of course, you're not limited to those colors. When you get your stamp set, you can make these flowers anything you want them to be. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. Grab your neutral circle because you are going to be decorating this up. I know, right, Karen? I don't know how Sam can be a senior either. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and decorate that up however you want to do. I am going to be using a combination of an image and a phrase. And I think I'm going to do my image first. So I have one of the little flower designs from Wildflower Designs. This kind of makes me have a feel of like a dandelion kind of a thing. It's got those little ends that are kind of frayed out just like a dandelion. I know that's not what it is, but I definitely get a dandelion vibe off of that one. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add a thank you across the bottom. Okay, so I'm keeping mine super simple. I might take this later and add a little color around the edge with a little bit of like my sponge dauber or a blending brush. I forgot to bring one of those over, so I might add to this a little bit later. You have to wait and see. Okay, so once you have that all set to go, then you're going to go ahead and grab your rectangles and your card base. Okay, so let's take that card base and give that a nice burnish with our bone folder. So it's going to lay, I'm going to do one more time on the other side. Sometimes those creases can be funky. All right, so again, I have 2 different types. So what I recommend doing here is we're going to create, as you might guess, some sort of a grid pattern across the background. Now, what you can decide is if you want these, there's going to be a little bit of a different spacing one way or the other. So decide if you want to have more border at the edge or more border between. I'm going to go with more border at the edge at this point. And then, like I said, this is going to look better. If you chose to do 2 different things, this is going to look better if you do opposites. So you're going to do your 2 cardstocks or your 2, whatever you have there, 2 and 2. It's going to make for a better grid pattern across the back. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that circle that we stamped, and we're going to put that right across the middle. So that's where you're headed. So again, like I said, you can take these guys, and if you push them more toward the corner, let me show you what that looks like. I know I don't usually offer you the options at the beginning, but I wanted you to see this before I had everything taped down, or you did, because you don't want to have to pull it back up again. Okay, so here it is with more in the middle. Okay, so you can kind of decide what feels better to you, what you would like to see. So again, I'm going to do mine a little bit closer together, and I'm going to go ahead and actually adhere them this time. All right, so I have a little more border around the edge. And I am just going to put them down very lightly at first because I might have to manipulate them a little bit. Yeah, I can already see that that's not quite where I wanted that to be. Okay, so let me get this other one up in the corner. All right, so again, I have early espresso rectangles, and I have wildly flowering designer series paper. All right, let's bring that a little closer together. There we go. And my last one. My adhesive's running low. I'm going to have to change that soon. All right, there is my other piece of designer series paper. I'm going to adjust this one just a little bit as well. And this is why I didn't tack them down too hard right away, because like I said, some of this is going to be a visual play where you see how you want them to get lined up once they're all in together. Okay? Okay, it looks a little crooked to me. There we go. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just put this guy down flat. You can, of course, dimensional anything that you would like on any of these layers as it goes. All right, so there is my basic sample. Again, I'm probably going to go ahead and add a little more color to this later with a blending brush or a sponge. I forgot to bring that over to do on camera, but I meant to do that around the edges a little bit there. So that is one version. Now for the rest of my samples, I have kind of dug back into some of my older stamp sets, and then also I'm bringing in something, some of the newer stuff that's in the online exclusives. In case you haven't seen that yet, there's a beautiful Christmas suite in there, a couple of them, and lots of Halloween product. Now I've already had, today's the last day for you to fill out that Google form that tells me you want to get your mini catalog mailed to you, the one that's going to come out in September. You'd get that probably within the last 2 weeks of August. And it's going to be, we lovingly refer to it as the holiday catalog. And I've already had a chance to take a sneak peek, and trust me, you're going to want to get it. But what I did notice for sure is there are no Halloween products specifically in that catalog. They're all in the online store, with the idea being you can order them sooner and get all your Halloween stuff ready to go a lot sooner than if you can't order till September 1st. So it's kind of a neat little foresight on their part. But then there is some fall and lots of Christmas and winter, of course, in that holiday catalog. So make sure you fill out the Google form. It's at the top. If you go to my page that you're on right now watching this, near the top there should be a featured or a pinned link to a Google form that you can fill out so that I make sure and send that to you. All right, so we're going to take this out for now. Now I have here Be My Valentine, which we haven't used in a while, but of course this isn't really quite Valentine-y right now, so I'm using him just as like a hello and a love type situation. Now I did use just tone-on-tone cardstock, but then, so it's Daffodil Delight, but then what I did is I used some of the other stamps in there, like the honeycomb and the little one that looks like the trail that would fly behind him, to fill in some of the blankness of those particular pieces of cardstock. So some of it is stamped off, some of it is direct, so some of it shows up darker than others here on camera. And then I added, with that punch, it punches out, of course, the oval here for the bee, and the wings are this large heart, and the antenna are this small heart. So it kind of has two purposes in there. So it'll keep up your stamped image, and then you can actually just use the heart shapes themselves. It's really kind of cool. Let's see, Karen, it's got hot. Yes, you're already done with your Halloween cards. Holy cow, there you go. You are always like way on the ball with that stuff. I love it. All right. And then I added Wink of Stella to my hearts and a little bit on the bee, on his wings, and on his stripes. Okay. Then I went back to the regular annual catalog for this one. This one uses, excuse me, goodness, the Full of Life collection, which is Friends for Life stamp set, the Full of Life Designer Series paper. And I thought this one was so cool to use in this fashion because I just cut it so that it looks like all the pieces are just coming out straight from the center. So this is one of those that has that rainbow spectrum color burst across the whole page. And then I pulled the colors from the right and the left into the middle here. So I added a second circle behind there in Granny Apple Green. I have a Granny Apple Green a little bit behind my phrases, and then I use the Pretty in Pink from over here to add the hearts onto my Thinking of You. And then, of course, as you see, I backed this layer with black first before putting it just on a white card base. I had trouble selecting a background color for this because it has all of them. So I thought white was the best way to show this one off. And then I like the way that the black just makes that pop out. Okay, so here's a couple that are in the online store right now. The DSP comes from Season of Green and Gold. Beautiful, as you may guess, it's all green and gold. So one side of the paper has gold foil accents, and everything else in it is green or greenery. That's in the mellow moss and old olive kind of tones. And this one here, I used the Frosted Forest stamp set for, I masked off just part of it, so just as birthday wishes. And then this is the one that comes with the masks in order to fill in color. And I just used the mask because I wanted a very simple tree. So what they're really designed for, though, is you stamp a tree and then you use the layering masks to help fill in some of the color. So you can have shading, you can have lights and darks. It's really a cool process. And I'm going to be doing a video on that soon so you can see how all of that works. And then I just added some gold pearls into my tree just as a little bit of shimmer. All right, then I pulled out an older one, which honestly, I don't know if I've used very much at all. We have this adorable stamp set that's called Playing in the Rain. And it comes with a set of dies, so they'll cut out the images plus some other things. And I did that, then I stamped him and cut him out and then colored him in and put him on my circle. And my circle comes from Stylish Shapes. You can see it's got that little stitching around there. And because he is larger and my phrase is a little larger, I added it off to the side. So again, that's an option too. You can always add phrases into something else, however you like. I used the Subtles Designer Series paper here in Pool Party to match my Pool Party background. And then here's that embossing folder I was telling you about, the designs, the one that goes with the Wildly Flowering Suite. And so see, it's got like, they're rectangles that are connected, but they've got this really interesting stitching in them. So some of it is circles, some of it is diamonds, some of it is triangles, and it just adds a really interesting texture into there. And then I also grabbed my iridescent dots that come in Pool Party and added those in as well. Thanks, Mom. I thought he's cute too. All right, for this one, I went back to Cheerful Daisies, which I haven't used in a while, mostly because I really miss the matching DSP that used to come with it. But this challenges us, of course, to use them in different ways. So this time I'm using more of a neutral palette. I've got Crumb Cake in the back, and this is Lemon Lolly. And I used one of the Lemon Lolly DSPs again with that embossing folder to add texture back there. And then this particular circle comes from the Spotlight on Nature dies. If you haven't checked those out, I really recommend. They're great layering circles with all kinds of neat details around the edges. Makes for some very interesting stuff. And then all I did was die cut this piece out, and I trimmed it up a little bit. It's actually all attached together, but that was going to be very large across my card, and I wanted to have them a little bit closer together. So I cut them apart in a couple spots and just squished them a little bit more together. And then I added my linen thread bow for a little bit of interest there. All right, let me go ahead and pull in that basic sample that I showed you earlier. So like I said, you can use DSPs, you can use cardstocks, you can use combinations like this one here. Right, it's so neat, Karen. And actually what I'd recommend doing is I think it's gonna end up being a 4x5 piece of paper, and run that through the embossing folder first, and then cut it into the four rectangles of 2x2.5. It'll save you a little bit of a headache trying to get those pieces to all settle in nicely in your embossing folder. All right, so here is the stepped up version. So what I did instead, I picked a different piece of DSP, same kind of color palette, but just it has the ones with the larger flowers, and I used it all over. And again, I backed it with cardstock, so this is Early Espresso. And instead of using the circle here, I've used the frames that come with that stamp set. In the dies that match that stamp set. So they're layering. Some of them have a little scalloped edge. These guys have just a little bit of texture in them. So I added the texture stamp that comes with that one into the background. So it says, "You've been on my mind." And then I die cut this image with the matching die that comes in that set, of course. Added some jute twine and brown sequins. And there we go. So that is the stepped up version of what you see there. So like I said, you can play with what, yeah, you're welcome, Karen. Honestly, I'll tell you, it didn't occur to me the first time that I made one of those samples. And then when I went to go do another one, I was like, why did I not think of that before? So glad I can pass that little tip on. Okay, so here we go. Like you can use, again, cardstock, DSPs, add layering behind or not, change up the shape that you have going on in the middle. You can add ones that are a little bit larger. So you'll add like a phrase. You'll have things that are coming off of your image on the inside. And then, of course, your fun DSPs and anything else that just makes you smile. Alrighty. Hi, Laura. Thanks for popping in at the end here. Hope you can catch up soon. We're pretty much ready to wrap it up for tonight. Just a reminder, if you want me to mail you a holiday catalog, make sure you fill out that Google form. You'll find it at the top of the page here. It either says featured or pinned post or something like that. And the link for the form is right in there. You just click on the picture that looks all wintry and fill out the form so I can get that set up for you to mail out. You'll probably receive them like the last 2 weeks of August sometime, and they go live at the beginning of September. So that'll be some really fun product that we'll look forward to sharing with you. My two friends, Amy and Lisa, and I are going to do another Sweets of the Season event later in September, where we'll show you all kinds of really great sweets and other things from that mini catalog. So I'm looking forward to that, and I should have the registration information and all that good stuff available really soon. So keep an eye out for that. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up for me tonight. If you made a card with me now or plan to later, take a snapshot of it and post it under this link so we can all see what everybody's been making. Thanks for joining me live tonight. And if you're watching later, thanks for that as well. Have a good rest of your week, everyone. And I will see you. Actually, no, I won't. I will be taping next week's again because I will be at an event in Minnesota on Sunday, and I don't think I will be back in time on Monday to be live. So I'm going to pre-record it mostly so I'm just on the safe side. All right, so I will see you live in 2 weeks, and we'll have a different project ready to go next week on a pre-recorded video. All right, I think that is officially finally it. Have a great night, everybody.